We were in the Royal Belum State Park, reporting on the high mortality rate among children resulting from illness. But aside from illness, the orang asli also have to contend with elephants. Apa sudah jadi?
Lari.
Siapa lari?
Lari ni orang kuat ni, tengok ni. Ini semua patah ni.
The people, trying to hit on everything, anything and everything to try and get the elephants to go in the opposite direction. We're here at one of the villages along the Sungai Kejar. What we've heard is this village has been bothered by a herd of elephants twice in the past 2 nights. Apa sudah jadi?
Lari.
Siapa lari?
Lari ni orang kuat ni, tengok ni. Ini semua patah ni. Orang kuat. Masih tengah tidur.
Pukul berapa tu?
Pukul kurang lebih pukul 4.
Pukul 4 pagi.
Pukul 4 pagi. Tu. Ini jalan dia ikut ni. Sini jalan dia ikut ni, tengok.
Encik Kediri is the leader of one of the Orang Asli settlements in Sungai Kejar. This was his village until a pair of elephants rampaged through it.
Saya dengar pak atas sana. Tengok orang Buddha tu. Sampai kat sini habis lari kat sungai sana.
According to Kediri, human-elephant conflict is a common occurrence in the Royal Belum State Park. But usually, the elephants just eat the Orang Asli's crops and leave.
Ada 4 tahun saya tanam, tak ada pun, tak makan pun. Dulu dia makan ubi tu habis. Pisang habis. Saya dulu ada sini pisang juga, tapi tak ada. Dia makan kenyang kat dia.
Though he says human-elephant conflicts are now common, Kediri remembers a time when it was different.
Dulu hari tak ada, bukan macam ni. Orang kuat besar ni, kat ni, hutan berjasa ni, tak ada dia. Tak ada.
Semenjak yang perhilitan bawa
dia.
The Wildlife Department of Malaysia, or Perhilitan, has an elephant translocation program, where elephants involved in conflicts with humans are moved to designated conservation areas. The Royal Belum State Park is one such area. All elephants involved in conflicts within the state of Perak are translocated to the park.
Di dalam kawasan Taman Negeri Royal Belum dianggarkan antara 60 hingga 70 ekor gajah, di mana gajah-gajah tersebut merupakan daripada kumpulan gajah belum dan juga temanggung. Semenjak tahun 2010 telah direkodkan sebanyak 36 ekor telah ditranslocate ke Taman Negeri Royal Belum.
Those numbers could mean that around half the elephant population are translocated elephants, and with a higher elephant population, there's a higher chance of conflict. But when asked if human-elephant conflicts are a problem in the state park, the relevant agencies said that such incidents are not common at all.
Di Sungai Kejar, saya rasa tak ada. Sebabnya kalau ada, pelihatan akan maklum kat kita lah. Ataupun orang kampung tu akan maklum kat kita.
Perkara yang melibatkan hidupan liar dan manusia ni tidak keraplah berlaku di Taman Negeri Royal Belum. Sekiranya berlaku, memang kita tak ada rekod secara langsung, tapi akan dilakukan terus pada Jabatan Perhilitan.
Konflik manusia hidupan liar di kawasan Taman Negeri Royal Belum adalah jarang sekali berlaku, disebabkan tiada penempatan kecuali penempatan asli sahaja di situ. Sebagai contoh, bagi tahun 2015, pihak Jabatan Perhilitan Daerah Gerik cuma menerima 1 aduan gangguan gajah liar di kawasan perkampungan asli Taman Negeri Royal Belum.
However, a management plan drafted in 2011 by WWF Malaysia and the State Park specifically identified human-elephant conflict among Orang Asli communities within the park as a serious issue. It also notes that translocated elephants seem to be aggravating the problem.
The lack of official complaints doesn't mean that there is no conflict. I can tell you there is conflict. We all know there is conflict there.
This is Dr. Ahimsa Campos Arthes, widely regarded as the authority on elephant conservation in Malaysia. He's been researching elephant behavior in Malaysia for the past 6 years.
Royal Belum State Park is a conservation area. What we have is some Orang Asli settlements with very small scale agriculture, but this is in the core of a tropical rainforest, mostly primary rainforest. Is when we have some of the highest elephant densities in Malaysia. So if we plant these crops in the middle of this elephant area, there will be conflict.
When human-elephant conflicts happen outside the park, Perhilitan translocates the problem elephants to conservation areas. But when the conflict happens inside a conservation area, like the Royal Belum State Park, the situation becomes complicated.
There's a conflict between protecting the interests of people who live in the forest, like the indigenous communities, and protecting ecosystems and wildlife. How to deal with this conflict? It is not clear. So if you are probably biased to protect some of the ecosystem values or the wildlife values, when if you ask to an anthropologist, probably is biased to conserve the people. So then it's an ongoing dialogue.
As an anthropologist, I think, of course, you should take into account the people. The people who live there have families, just like you and me. They have children, they have old elderly people, they have humanly needs. They need to eat, they need to grow their food. They want to live in their community, in their ancestral landscape. This is their tanah adat, and they want to be there. That's their belief system, that's their right.
But what's clear is, human-elephant conflict can be dangerous.
The reason why everybody is out here, they're kind of all on standby. If the elephants were to come to this side, everybody's just going to have to flee.
That night, after we spoke to Kadri, we experienced an incident ourselves.
I'm so scared right now. If you hear any noises in the distance, like some banging, it's because the people are trying to hit on everything, anything and everything to try and get the elephants to go in the opposite direction.
Suddenly, in a moment of panic, the men who were keeping an eye on the elephant fled into the darkness.
Wait, what? My heart is in my throat. Hah? Tadi dia kejar ke?
Dia kejar. Dia kejar sampai sini, lepas tu sana pula.
Dia naik atas tu?
Ha.
This guy, man.
Fortunately, the elephant never returned, but we had to remain watchful throughout the night. The next morning, we visited Kadri at a makeshift campsite. After their village was attacked by elephants, all of them had to flee into the jungles to set up camps such as this.
This is tough. This is difficult. Whew. These are our friends who had to flee their homes with little more than the clothes on their backs. Ingat nak duduk sini berapa lama?
Tengoklah, tunggu dulu, tengok ke orang kuat tu dulu. Kalau dia pindah ke lain baru turun macam tu. Kalau masih ni kita nak turun, masih bergaduh lagi tak boleh ya. Kira kita sayang nyawa dulu.
This entire place was built overnight out of sheer necessity. They have very little to eat. It really resembles a refugee camp, except in this case the conflict is with elephants. They aren't quarreling with anybody. They've had to run and hide out.
Although these conflicts are clearly disruptive and dangerous for the orang asli, it seems the state park doesn't have a plan on managing them.
Untuk human-animal conflict ni, memang kami tak ada apa-apa polisi pasal ni. Sebabnya bila melibatkan hidupan liar, dia lebih pada Jabatan Perhilitan sendiri.
Okey, jikanya wujud konflik manusia dan kehidupan liar adalah disyorkan untuk penduduk asli tersebut membuat aduan terus ke pejabat perhilitan berhampiran, sama ada hadir terus ke pejabat ataupun telefon ke pejabat dan juga melalui perkhidmatan MySMS.
However, it isn't easy for the Sungai Keja community to travel to Perhilitan's office. Most do not have boats to make the trip. Very few have mobile phones, and even fewer have the power supply to charge phones or the money to buy credit. And according to locals, there are only 2 spots in the village with cellular coverage.
I think we have a serious problem in Malaysia in the way we manage our protected areas. Royal Belum is managed by a consortium at the state level, consortium of different agencies who don't have a lot of background on conservation. There's a small number of staff, and they're not embedded in a much larger system which they can learn from. So I think we need to seriously reconsider how we can do better in our protected areas.
The management plan also emphasised closer engagement with the Orang Asli to formulate conservation solutions. University Malaya anthropologist Kamal agrees.
As a modern state park, I think they have a much more central role to play, a much more important role to play in addressing the community as well. So rather than act solely as a gatekeeper for entrance and then saying the community belongs to other people, they should set up a joint task force that includes representatives from the community on this task force that can address problems within the park. We should start to move towards a community-based natural resource management model where community is trained to eventually take over park management. That should be where we are headed, because the host is not the park managers. The host is the community. They are the earliest inhabitants and the people who know this landscape very well.